Hey y'all, it's Kim. So now that y'all have a socialist Democrat in New York City, uh, I wanted to at least bring some of this up. This is about Stalin and Nikita Khrushchev. He was the guy that took over right after Stalin died. He came out with all because I think Stalin died in 53, so then Khrushchev was about a few years later, but that's when this was delivered, this whole speech. But it's at the 20th Congress of the CPSU, so the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, February 24th to 25th, 1956. Khrushchev delivered a report in which he denounced Stalin's crimes and the cult of personality surrounding Stalin. This speech would ultimately trigger a worldwide split. But originally, so you just have to know about Stalin. He came in basically as a secretary of this whole Politburo thing. And once Lenin died, he was kind of like one of the architects of the whole Soviet Union thing. This guy started working his way up after Lenin died to get more and more power. He was going after opponents, and then he finally was able to get rid of several of the other Politburo people, and then ultimately install himself as the main guy. But it was like 5 to 7. I can't remember if it was five. I think it was five. So then, you have an odd number. So when you vote, whatever, it's pretty much like anything. But anyway, you just have to kind of go back and really look at the way Stalin did things. But he killed off a bunch of political people. Kamenev, Trotsky was one of them. He was killed in Mexico, from what I read just recently. Pickaxe or what do they call it? An ice axe or something like that. I can't think what it is. But anyway, this Khrushchev guy is really denouncing Stalin and all the things that he did because that's not how the original Soviet party system was set up. It was like you would have a party up here and then you have the people below that. So, like the proletariat, it's kind of like the whole Marxism thing. You would have like a small group up here taking care of all this stuff, the party, and then you had the people below that. And they really were trying to get rid of the bourgeoisie, blah, blah, blah. So, if you know anything about Marxism, then you understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, let me set a timer because this is pretty long. It's like 80 something pages when you read it through the book. But let me set my timer. We'll just do like maybe 10 minutes of this because like I said, it's long. Anyway, so it says comrades in the party central committee's report at the 20th Congress and in a number of speeches by delegates to the Congress as well, or excuse me, as also formerly during plenary CPSU, so Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union sessions. Quite a lot has been said about the cult of the individual and about its harmful consequences. After Stalin's death, the Central Committee began to implement a policy of explaining concisely and consistently that it is impermissible and foreign to the spirit of Marxism and Leninism to elevate one person, yes, to elevate one person, to transform him into a Superman possessing supernatural characteristics akin to those of a god. Such a man supposedly knows everything, sees everything, thinks for everyone, can do anything, is infallible in his behavior. Such a belief about a man, and specifically about Stalin, was cultivated among us for many years. The objective of the present report is not a thorough evaluation of Stalin's life and activity. Concerning Stalin's merits, an entirely sufficient number of books, pamphlets, and studies had already been written in his lifetime. The role of Stalin in the preparation and execution of the socialist revolution in the Civil War and in the fight for the construction of socialism in our country is universally known. Everyone knows it well. At present, we are concerned with a question which is of immense importance for the party now, and for the future. With how the cult of the person of Stalin has been gradually growing, the cult the cult which began at a certain specific stage, the source of a whole series of exceedingly serious and grave perversions of party principles, of party democracy, of revolutionary legality. Because not all as yet realize fully the practical consequences resulting from the cult of the individual or the great harm caused by a violation of the principle of collective party direction and by the accumulation of immense and limitless power in the hands of one person. The Central Committee considers it absolutely necessary to make material pertaining to this matter available to the 20th Congress of the Communist Party of the CP or whatever, CPSU, the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. But that was the whole point, is that you would have a collective group up here taking care of all of this stuff together. They would be making decisions. And that's not how Stalin wanted it. He wanted ultimate power. He became the dictator. He's the one that killed off all these people through famine and the collectivization. He had the wrong concept for all of this communism and socialism stuff. I'm not saying that it's a good idea at all, but he wanted ultimate power and be the decision maker for all that stuff. And he couldn't do it on his own ultimately. But I mean, that's kind of like our government. We've got certain branches that do certain things and they make certain decisions on behalf of us. But it's a group effort for the most part. But anyway, it says, allow me first of all to remind you how severely the classics of Marxism and Leninism denounced every manifestation of the cult of the individual. In a letter to the German political worker Wilhelm Bloss, Karl Marx stated, from my antipathy to any cult of the individual, I never made public during the existence of the first international, the numerous addresses from various countries which recognized my merits and which annoyed me. I did not even reply to them, except sometimes to rebuke their authors. Frederick Engels and I just first joined the secret society of communists on the condition that everything making for superstitious worship of authority would be deleted from its statute. Ferdinand Lassalle subsequently did quite the opposite. Sometime later, Engels wrote, both Marx and I have always been against any public manifestation with regard to individuals, with the exception of cases when it had an important purpose. We most strongly oppose such manifestations which during our lifetime concerned us personally. The great modesty of the genius of the revolution, Vladimir Ilyich, I think it's how you say it, Ilyich, Lenin, is known. Lenin always stressed the role of the people as a creator of history, the directing and organizational roles of the party as a living and creative organism, and also the role of the Central Committee. Do you have different groups here, groups of people making these decisions? Marxism does not negate the role of the leaders of the working class, which would be the proletariat, in directing the revolutionary liberation movement. I don't believe in all this revolutionary stuff, just saying. I'm just bringing this up because you have a socialist, democratic socialist in New York now. Anyway, while ascribing great importance to the role of the leaders and organizers of the masses, Lenin at the same time mercilessly stigmatized every manifestation of the cult of the individual, inexorably combated any foreign to Marxism views about a hero and a crowd, and countered all efforts to oppose a hero to the masses and to the people. Lenin taught that the party's strength depends on its indissoluble unity with the masses, on the fact that behind the party follows the people, workers, peasants, and the intelligentsia. Lenin said only he who believes in the people, he who submerges himself in the fountain of the living creativeness of the people, will win and retain power. Lenin spoke with pride about the Bolshevik Communist Party as the leader and teacher of the people. He called for the presentation of all the most important questions before the opinion of knowledgeable workers, before the opinion of their party. He said, "We believe in it. We see in it the wisdom, the honor, and the conscience of our epoch, or epoch, whatever." Lenin resolutely stood against every attempt aimed at belittling or weakening the direct role of the party in the structure of the Soviet state. He worked out Bolshevik principles of party direction and norms of party life, stressing that the guiding principle of party leadership is its collegiality. Already during the pre-revolutionary years, Lenin called the Central Committee collective leaders and the guardian and interpreter of party principles. During the period between Congresses, Lenin pointed out the Central Committee guards and interprets the principles of the party. Underlying the role of the Central Committee and its authority, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin pointed out our Central Committee constituted itself as a closely centralized and highly authoritative group. During Lenin's life, the Central Committee was a real expression of collective leadership of the party and of the nation. Being a militant Marxist revolutionist, always unyielding in matters of principle, Lenin never imposed his views upon his co-workers by force. He tried to convince. He patiently explained his opinions to others. Lenin always diligently saw to it that the norms of party life were realized, that party statutes were enforced, and that party congresses and plenary sessions of the Central Committee took place at the proper intervals. In addition to V.I. Lenin's great accomplishments for the victory of the working class and of the working peasants, for the victory of our party, and for the application of the ideas of scientific communism to life, his acute mind expressed itself also in this. Lenin detected in Stalin in time these negative characteristics, which resulted later in grave consequences. Fearing the future fate of the party and of the Soviet nation, V.I. Lenin made a completely correct characterization of Stalin. He pointed out that it was necessary to consider transferring Stalin from the position of party general secretary because Stalin was excessively rude, did not have a proper attitude toward his comrades, and was capricious and abused his power. In December 1922, in a letter to the party Congress, Vladimir Ilyich wrote, "After taking over the position of general secretary, Comrade Stalin accumulated immeasurable power in his hands, and I'm not certain whether he will always be able to use this power with the required care." So let me stop here, and then I'm gonna probably do another video for this where it starts with the letter. And I think I actually do have this Lenin's Testament in my Kindle to be read. But anyway, I will talk to y'all later. Have a good day. Bye.